want to take you back to the 2000s era. Sega had just finished probably one of the worst failures in gaming history that is still talked about till this day. A rushed production schedule, the splitting of their main workforce into separate A and B teams. Yeah, Sega wanted to ensure that Sonic 06 would be released in the most unsatisfactory way possible. But blah blah blah, you probably already heard the story before. What I'm more interested in is what that so-called B-Team Sonic was cooking up in the background amidst all the chaos. A fully 3D on-the-rails platforming experience that combines the ancient stories of the Arabian Nights with the style and charisma of Sonic the Hedgehog. That sounds like the exact type of fanfiction BS that would get you laughed out of a pitch meeting. And yet for this IP, and probably this IP alone, the idea works so damn well. The storybook games are in a tricky spot in the grand scheme of Sonic's career. On one hand, most people regard these games as an unfocused, gimmicky mess that only aided in the identity crisis Sonic was suffering at this time. The so-called Dark Ages, if you will. On the other hand, the revitalized interest in the Sonic series as a whole, taking itself more seriously after the abomination that was the 2010s era,
Baldy nose hair!
has made people come back to appreciate in retrospect just how underrated and well-written the storybook games truly are. And boy, am I definitely in the latter. I made this video to simply glaze how amazing the characterization is for Sonic in these games, and how I think they should become the standard for his character. I wasn't going to focus on gameplay too much, as this is really more of a vibes-based analysis. And plus, the storybook games are so high concept that I think the developers knew the gameplay would probably take a backseat to the overall experience. First off, before I start at anything, I just gotta say that Sonic and the Secret Rings OST is possibly the most underrated Sonic soundtrack in the entire series. Every single track in this game elicits a feeling of badassery that makes the player feel like a true rebel tearing through the pages of this ancient story like they own the place. You'd think a story focusing on the iconic works of 1001 Nights, a collection of Middle Eastern folktales, would have music that sounds more majestic and orchestral. But nah, the game decides to do its own thing and stay true to the series. It boasts that same hard rock and roll energy that permeates throughout all of Sonic's games. And because of that, I feel like this game blesses us with some of the best lyrical tracks that the franchise has to offer. And it all mixes together so seamlessly with the overall aesthetic of the Arabian Nights. A few of my personal favorites include Let the Speed Mend It, High and Broken, and The Palace That Was Found.
If truly free, be stopped never through all that's happening.
Real ones know whose iconic theme song this belonged to. On to the story, and man, as I said before, these games have the perfect characterization of Sonic the Hedgehog. For those who don't know the story, or need a quick rundown, Sonic teams up with this genie girl named Shara, who needs your help to stop the menace known as the Eraser Djinn. His evil plan is to wipe out all of the pages from the book and recreate them in his own image. Simple enough. But that small synopsis does not even do justice to just how deep and emotionally intelligent this story truly is under its veneer. The number one reason why I feel like these stories work so well is because of the main character, Sonic himself. Storybook Sonic is widely regarded as being one of the best portrayals of his character for a reason, and that is because, unlike most of the other Sonic games, he's forced into another world and to deal with a completely new type of evil other than Dr. Robotnik. The world of the Arabian Nights is a cruel and harsh one, and seeing the brave-hearted Blue Hedgehog display the same sense of overwhelming confidence and finesse when confronting such evil is truly awe-inspiring. It's like you finally get to see the true depths of Sonic's personality and realize just how much of a free-spirited nature he has. Seeing him interact with all the characters, Shara, Eraser Djinn, it's all very engaging. He's cocky and lighthearted, yes, but he also has this aura to him that gives the viewer knowledge of his underlying morality and the sense that he knows when to take things seriously when the time calls for it. He's arrogant, but not stupid. He realizes the stakes at hand with the Eraser Djinn trying to wipe out all of the pages from this ancient book. He's mature enough to understand the complex relationship between Eraser Djinn and Shara, but he doesn't let that underlying complexity stop him from doing what he thinks is right, and thus guide Shara to do the same. I mean, this guy literally takes the metaphoric bullet for her after only being with her for a short time. This Sonic is just built different, and he is a perfect example of how to write a Paragon character correctly. They don't change with the world around them, instead, the world morphs to change around them. Can I just take a moment to gush about how good of a voice actor Jason Griffith is? He is the best Sonic voice actor in my opinion, and it's not even close. The way he portrays Sonic's attitude, but also controls the tone of his voice to convey that sense of maturity and over-sibling vibe, it just makes for the perfect combination and listening experience.
Wow, the wisdom of Sinbad of the Seven Seas, the adventurer of adventurers. Hey, cheer up! The horns will grow back, eventually. Looks like my time limit is about up.
Sonic?
Sorry, I don't mean to worry you. I'll be okay.
We've got to stop him! Shara! Please! Let me your power!
The way this man can switch up the character's demeanor on a dime from silliness to anger to sadness and even elation is simply brilliant to me. I know people love the Ryan Drumman as Sonic, or even in rare cases Roger Craig Smith, but to me, Jason has and will always be the perfect voice for Sonic. He just performs the character in a way that is ultra compelling to me. It also helps that I grew up with him as the primary voice for Sonic, so that could be nostalgia talking. Nevertheless, his performance in this game, and the other storybook game for that matter, is simply on fire. One of my favorite aspects about this game is the way that Sonic constantly comforts Shara as she feels guilty about her upcoming betrayal later in the story. The way she constantly doubts herself, alongside her insecurities about her past with the Eraser Djinn, is juxtaposed greatly with Sonic's happy-go-lucky attitude. It creates this excellent flavor in the story, where Sonic is this boundless pool of optimism, to contrast all of this dark and edginess that's going on around him. Seeing these two interact during cutscenes, during the gameplay of the stages, and definitely during the intense boss fights is so charming and fun. I especially like it when Sonic collects one of the 7 world rings and has this visceral reaction to the sheer magnitude of power it contains. It once again shows his underlying maturity and what's truly at stake if Eraser were to get all 7 of them. One of the best segments in the story comes at the moment where Sonic and Shara have to raid the Evil Foundry. On top of just the insanely cool and aesthetically pleasing level, they come face to face with the great monster Ifris, the Spirit of Fire. Instead of being able to one-shot the thing, you actually have to retreat and go to another level, Pirate Storm, in order to get the corresponding Ring of Storms. But to find that out, you first have to go through the Levitated Ruins in order to find Sinbad to give you the information. All of this sidetracking makes the story feel like an actual adventure, and gives more weight to the moment where Sonic finally does take down the Great Spirit of Ifris, because you the player know all you've had to go through in order to get to that point. And man, when you finally get to that boss fight and summon a mighty storm in order to take him down, it's just pure catharsis. And the game is just littered with moments like these, great set-offs and payoffs, tying the gameplay towards the story. It's all extremely engaging and excellent game design. Another aspect of the story that I just adore is the flaming arrow that is slowly burning away at Sonic's life force. Once again, under normal circumstances, this would be an extremely dramatic and harrowing turn of events for the main character, but for Sonic of all people, he only sees it as an extra challenge. Not because he's some action junkie that doesn't understand the true peril of his situation, but simply because he's too level-headed and calm for it to let it distract him from his ultimate goals. And seeing how he slowly deteriorates over the course of the game is equally horrifying as it is inspiring. By the time you get to the end of the game, you feel like you've been in the place of Shara, witnessing firsthand the highs and lows of your journey and seeing the unwavering determination that is Sonic the Hedgehog. It makes the final palace raid on Eraser Djinn that much more satisfying and an insanely cathartic moment in the story. I'm telling you man, this OST is just god tier. And when you finally get through the palace and make it to Eraser Jin, the scene is set perfectly, with this shining palace glowing under the might of a full moon, as the raddest confrontation Sonic's ever had up until this point commences. But everyone who's played this game knows what the true best moment of it is. Throughout all of these amazingly well written scenes comes the actual ending, where all is revealed to the player, and by nature Sonic as well. It turns out that Shara was seemingly sent to betray Sonic after getting him to gather the secret rings. This story beat, however, is left kind of ambiguous, as we don't know if Shara was fully on board with this or not, and she struggles with the morality of the situation. In a dramatic twist of events, Sonic forces Shara to follow her true heart and not give Eraser Jin the rings. This results in her untimely death, and makes for a surprisingly emotional death scene.
Did I change my destiny? Did I keep our promise?
Shara, grant me a wish. I wish for you to not die and to go back to the way you were.
I'm so sorry, Master. I cannot grant.
Sonic begs for her not to let go and wishes her to come back to life, but it's all in vain, as the Eraser Jin absorbs all of the 7 rings, describing their sheer emotion as Sonic has to feel an array of emotions himself. Fully consumed by the 7 rings' immense power, the Eraser Jin transforms into this unholy amalgamation. Even Sonic is disturbed by this unholy creature, and might I say that this design was definitely not E10 and plus. As Sonic gathers the rings himself in order to combat the monster, we get possibly one of the coolest transformations in Sonic lore, Darkspine Sonic. I don't hear enough people talk about his tough and gritty design, as it's probably just another form to most people, but man does Jason Griffith switch up his personality on a dime excellently.
The stories of this world are mine!
If this is your world, then it's a world that I don't want any part of.
It goes back to what I said about him being a masterful voice actor. What follows this scene is possibly one of the coolest final boss battles in the entire series for me. The title theme, that has been played during damn near every single moment within the game, finally gets featured in its own level for the game as the final boss theme. And man, I couldn't have seen it working out better any other way, as Sonic absolutely tears through the Eraser Jin, pounding on his chest, kicking his energy balls right back at him, and just shredding through him entirely. It's possibly one of the most emotionally satisfying moments in the game. And boy, what comes after is truly one of the most iconic moments in Sonic's history. The Eraser Jin kneels in the throne room, gloating about how he's immortal, and how although Sonic may have defeated him now, there is nothing stopping him from coming in the future and doing it all over again. That is until it's revealed that the secret gift Shara gave Sonic halfway through the story was actually the genie bottle that summoned the Eraser Jin in the first place. What commences is possibly one of the most badass scenes I have ever seen in a video game for me. Sonic sits on the throne room like he's the damn king and orders Eraser Jin to give him his 3 wishes. The first one, to bring Shara back to life, the individual who he abused and used like a tool all throughout the game. The second one is to undo all the damage he did to the books of the Arabian Nights. And the third line? I'm just gonna let this play for yourself.
Razor Jin, you shall live out the rest of time trapped inside your lamp as you were in days of old!
Shara, I know you're there. Please stop him. We can start over. The 2 of us. I swear it. The world is mine. I cannot be denied by that filthy rat! Why?
I told you, I'm not a rat! I'm a hedgehog!
Like, if that's not the coldest ass line you've ever heard come out of this character's mouth, I don't know what is. Simply a breathtaking scene. They just don't make them how they used to. But hey, Frontiers is starting to pick up some of the slack. Anyways, this video is way longer than what I anticipated it to be as. Because of that, I think I might cover Sonic and the Black Knight in the next video. But I hope you're enjoying these types of commentary videos, as I find them a lot of fun to make. Please be sure to tell me down below, what are your thoughts on the Sonic Storybook games? Are they bad, mid, as awesome as I see them as? Or really like to hear your opinions? With all that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.